Olivo, you have endorsed him for Congress.
Yep.
How come?
Brock's a good guy. He's a hard worker. He's got a great work ethic, and I think he brings a unique openness and character to the candidates that are out there. He's not a typical politician. He's somebody who's made a tremendous success out of himself, and quite frankly, if I can do this, he can do this, or anybody could do this. And I think, as I say, in my opinion, I think he's a Brock Olivo goes to Washington, or a Mr. Olivo goes to Washington. Mm-hmm. The main reason, though, is I've known him for a long time, mm-hmm. and I've seen him work mm-hmm. and be a success both on the high school field at Mizzou and in the NFL, and that's what we need, is somebody who is tenacious, who's not going to quit, who's going to keep on and keep pounding and work for those that sent him up there. And I'll just tell you this, go back to the question you had. If somebody like Barack Obama, okay, who has come out of nowhere and could be touted to be president of the United States mm-hmm. with the little experience that he has, mm-hmm. then why can't a guy like Brock Olivo, who is also a success, why mm-hmm. can't he be our congressman? Mm-hmm. It's the same, in my opinion. It's the same situation.
He even when you ask Brock, he admitted that his initial steps in this campaign have been a little bit rocky.
Sure. I was when I first started.
Yeah. Do you think he can recover from some of his early sort of rockiness?
Sure.
and how does he do that?
Just being himself. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, if the worst thing they can say about him is, well, he had a rough start, or if that's the worst they can say about him, mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, as bad as things are, when you run for public office, all the skeletons come out of your closet, and anything and everything you've ever done, gets aired and everything. That's the worst they can say about him. Let me tell you what, he's a pretty darn good, upstanding citizen, and he'd be a pretty dadgum good, attractive candidate.
And one thing that they're already saying is he hasn't voted ever in his life, and he's explained that why he hasn't voted. But
Sure.
Do you think that might hurt him in a primary or a general election?
I don't think so. Yeah. I really don't think so. Mm-hmm. I mean, as I say, the fact that he was living in another country, he really was living. If he was living in Italy, he wasn't qualified. Then he was a resident of Italy. He wasn't qualified to be a resident of Missouri. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, I think that's a non-starter.
Now, Franklin County is probably a crucial battleground in any Republican primary. It's fast-growing, has 100,000 people or so,
Yeah.
thousands of Republican voters. What do you think it's going to take for a Republican candidate to win in that county, in that area, which could be the key to winning this primary and the election?
Well, the key to any election is name recognition, number one. Mm-hmm. If you've got the name recognition, that's half the battle. Mm-hmm. The other key is how you connect with the voters. Mm-hmm. And we've been blessed to have a guy like Kenny Hulshoff as our congressman. Mm-hmm. He came out of nowhere. He was an attorney, but that's about all you can say. He worked for the Attorney General's office, but he proved to everybody that he could be a very effective congressman mm-hmm. and an elected official. Mm-hmm. And I think Brock can prove by his record, at least of his personal record, his work record, mm-hmm. that he could be an effective congressman also. And I don't know how the election's going to go. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, it's not easy for me to support Brock over some of the other candidates, mm-hmm. particularly Blaine Luetkemeyer, but quite frankly, with Brock being from my area and being a young guy, and he got out there and expressed an interest in the race, then I think that I've got to give him a shot, and I hope the voters give him a shot. Pretty hard,
yeah.
Especially I felt really bad when Blaine entered the race, because Brock started his whole career here in my office. I mean, he came in this office, wanted my opinion on whether or not he should run. I gave him the encouragement to do so. I was surprised, but I gave him the encouragement to do that, and quite frankly, I can't go back on that. But one thing that everybody needs to remember is all politics is local. And, especially when we have a young guy with enthusiasm and energy that's got the work ethic that he does, as I say, he really brings a lot to the table. He may not have the experience, but let me tell you what, either way, he's going to go up to D.C. And be one of 435 elected people. He's going to be in the minority. There will be a learning curve that he's going to have to perform, have to do. But quite frankly, he'll be able to come up to speed. Nobody got into Congress by being one before. So if they can do it, he can do it. If I can be a state senator, he can certainly be a congressman.